Hello and welcome. In this video, I will show you the creation of the NSX T0 gateway and the simple and working configuration of the dynamic routing through BGP. So let's start. On the last video, we configured the T1 gateway, and it's in distributed only mode, and he had two segments attached. So internally, east-west traffic right now is working between the two segments that are linked to this tier 1. Of course, for the outside communication, so north-south, what is called normally north-south, at the moment nothing is working because there is no interface that is connecting the NSX to an external network. What we need to do is basically creating the tier 0 gateway and configure static or dynamic routing, depends on the environment. In my case, it will be dynamic routing through BGP, and in my case, I have as an external router for this dynamic routing a virtual pfSense instance. So let's start with the requirements. So for creating the tier 0 gateway, what is needed is an edge cluster. And what I did before is deploy the two edge nodes with the same configuration, and then I pre-created the edge cluster. When you create the edge cluster, you have the choice to give it a name, decide eventually the profile of the edge cluster. I leave the standard one with the high availability profile, and then you're basically moving the edge node from available to selected, and then you save. At this point in the edge cluster AC01, I have the two edge node ready and available for the use. So let's switch back to networking. Let's go to tier 0 gateway and let's create the tier 0 gateway. Let's give it a name. Let's select active, it's fine, and edge cluster. Save. Okay, now NSX basically created the tier 0 gateway instance inside these two edge nodes, and now he's asking me to configure additional settings on the router. What I need before, and it depends on the actual configuration that you have on your edge node, is that I need, of course, some segments, VLAN segment used for the transport, so the north-south communication and network communication, basically. So what I did before is pre-creating the first BGP network that has VLAN 22, VLAN ID 22. What I can do is also creating the BGP2 segment in the VLAN transport zone, and this one have VLAN ID 23. Save. Okay, I don't need additional configuration. So what I did on the pfSense, let me show you, is basically creating on the interface tab the two networks, BGP1 and BGP2 with VLAN ID 22 and 23. Then assign these two VLAN to the interface where I have the VLAN tags, where I have the network tagging. So BGP1 with this IP address and this subnet, and BGP2 with this subnet and this IP. Then what I did is basically configuring the BGP, enabling the services, giving a local IS number, the router ID, And here I don't need anything else. What you need is basically configuring the neighbors. So I have assigned this IP to my edge node interface that will be used by the T0. For the edge one will be this one. For the edge 2 it will be this one, and back to the edge 1 it will be this one, edge 2 this one. So the two BGP network configured in this way, and of course putting the remote AS number because it will be used by the BGP protocol for creating the dynamic routing communication between the two neighbors. So let's switch back to NSX T0. Let's edit the T0 gateway. What you need as a first thing is creating the interfaces. BGP1, edge node 1, 172.20, 22.10, 24, and we select the segment and the edge node. I don't need multicast, I don't need OSPF. And let's do the same BGP1, edge node 2, 172, 20, 22, 11, 24, BGP1, edge node 2. Save. So I have the two IP configured, the two interface configured. I can also do the same for the other BGP 2 edge node 1, 172, 20, 23, 10 slash 24, BGP 2, edge node 1, BGP 2, edge node 2, 11, 24, BGP 2, and edge node 02. Okay. Now that I have the interface configured properly with the IP, I can configure the BGP. So first thing is configuring in the right way the local IS, having BGP protocol enabled, and then we go to BGP neighbors and we start the configuration. So 172.20.22.1 is the pfSense router, 65400 is the IS number, and then I select the right IPs for the BGP. Okay. Then you have also, as you can see, advanced setting like max op limit. You have timers and password for the BFD. If you are an expert of the BGP routing protocol, you know what is BFD. But okay, so this is basically the simplest configuration. Let's save. Okay, show success. Let's give it a couple of seconds. Okay, it's down. Let's give it activity, idle. Okay, why that? Let's save. Maybe it's because it didn't save the local IS. Probably. Okay, it's taking time. Exactly. Now you can see that is success. So means that the BGP is correctly communicating between the two, between my T0 and the pfSense router. So let's do the same also for the other 65400. select 23 and 23. Save, refresh. Okay, means that everything is fine. We can even double check it and I will show you how to do it. But we can maybe do through here is exactly BGP connectivity status established. So means that it's working. Edge 02 established. Okay, for basically both. We can even double check it through here in status, BGP neighbors, and you can see that it's receiving the BGP summary, and in the BGP neighbors is able to see the relative neighborship. Perfect. So let's switch to NSX to have a look to the network topology and see what changed. And just to recap, let me zoom in a little bit. We have the T1 gateway for the east-west routing with the two segments configured and attached to it. We have the two VLAN segments that we pre-created before for the north-south routing. And at the top of this topology, we can see the T0 gateway with the four interfaces. If we double click to the T0, we can go in the fabric view. Let me zoom in again. Too much, okay. And here you can see the two edge nodes that we deployed, the interface for every edge node, and the internal configuration between the distributed routing and the service routing instances that is basically managing the services and the routing. That's all basically for this video. I hope it is useful. Thank you very much.